This is kind of the introduction. All right, welcome everyone, and people continue to join in. And as we know for these sessions, that if you can't be here in person, people are just going to catch the recording later and have a chance to really dig in later if you want to learn more and kind of revisit some of these topics as they come up, because today is a meaty one. Today is this, you're not going to, if you're listening to this on audio, you're probably not going to want to put it on fast speed. You're probably going to want to actually slow down and maybe check out the video. This one is going to have a lot of visuals for us. I'm really excited about today's Lean On Navy. So next slide, please. For those of you who this is your first time, maybe you don't know how these things go. This is the agenda. This is kind of what we do every time. It's we divert from this framework sometimes, but this is our basic framework for how we do a Lean On Navy. We start out with this kickoff, and I'll kind of give you a couple quick polls to kind of figure out where the group is at, and kind of explain what Lean On is all about. So Lean On Navy, what it's all about is a chance for you to sort of step off the professional treadmill of life, step off from all your daily to-dos of what you're doing to your professional and personal life, and really just take a moment to invest in yourself in professional growth. And that's one reason we do these, professional growth. And the other reason we do these is for connection. Already, as I saw, we started calling this the post-reactor officer support group, because so many of us, a couple of us on this call, including our guest speaker today, and Frank Walter, a couple of us kind of been through that job. And this is where we go to after we've had that tough job. So you never know who you're going to run into. Old friends, Tammy North, so good to see you. Just saw your name on there. So good to see you. Just saw your name in the press for some of your leadership that you did at West, and really, really awesome to see you on stage there. And we were roommates back in the day on Abraham Lincoln. Yes, we were. So just really the ship. I actually met my husband and my best friend who I just hung out with yesterday, Kendra. So just amazing how Navy ships bring you together. Okay, so we will do some quick polls, and then I'll introduce the guest mentor, and then Captain Cordle will give us his presentation, and I invite you to stay on mute for that time and just soak it all in, take notes, listen in. And if you want to come off mute and ask a question, then feel free to do that as well. And then we go into our breakouts. For the breakout session, we have a question that we'll frame for you, that when you get into your groups of 3 to 4 people, we'll invite you to kind of answer a question that gets you to interact with the material that we're learning about today. And then when we come back from the breakout, ask for group sharing. So anyone who wants to share what they got in their small group and bring it back to the big group, that's where a lot of the learning and connection happens. Then I turn the mic back over to our guest, Captain John Cordle, and that's a really healthy time to log off. We're about at the hour there, and it's just feel free to log off if something didn't already distract you and pull you away sooner. And then you're welcome to stick around if that's if you have time for more. Sometimes the after party, I sometimes come off record because sometimes it gets a little more personal. So if that's the case, we'll stop recording. Otherwise, feel free to stick around for what we call the after party for a good 20, 30 minutes if the conversations just keep going. We're welcome to do that. All right, so that's the agenda. With that, the kind of protocol for how Lean On Navy works, invite you to select speaker view on your screen. We are sharing a slide today, so that is also an option. As I've said, just log off anytime if you're distracted and this is not working for you for as life is happening in the world around you. Please just go ahead and log off. No reason to even apologize. Totally understand. And then hope you can come online to leanonnavy.com and check out the recording later. Chat is perfectly great. Totally okay. Please chat away to your fellow audience members. And really, your engagement is how these keep coming. And I'll just share with you a quick story. The very genesis of this particular Lean On session is because Captain Cordle came to me. I mean, I was literally like so exhausted by the last one and working these. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into these. And I was like, and my friend said, when's the next Lean On Navy? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it again. And sure enough, that very day, like within an hour, I got an email from Captain Cordle saying, hey, if I can ever be your backup. And he's sending me like this list of all these articles he's written, all these books he's written. And, I know him well from his USNI, and we've met in met previously. So I was like, this is a gift. Thank you, Lord. So really, it's the audience, it's you that bring our guest speakers to us now. So your engagement, how you're taking these recordings and sharing them, maybe on your social media, however you're engaging is really what keeps this community healthy and makes speakers want to come to us. So you are the secret sauce and why we continue to get excellent speakers. Ask for you to go on mute unless you would like to talk, then otherwise help keep the rest of us so we can keep the audio as best as possible. And as always, thanks to Vic, who has changed her name to Tech Chat. So if you have any technical issues, please address Tech Chat. She's making this all work behind the scenes. I'll just leave a couple public service announcements, a few websites that you're free to click on. Lean on Navy, of course, forever. That's where you can go to where all these are hung later. Please share your feedback on Facebook to keep the communication going. If you haven't already been informed, the Joint Women's Leadership Symposium is announced that it's now ready for registration. You can register if you want to come to the Joint Women's Leadership Symposium. It's going to be a big event, and it's about, we're hoping for 1,100 people in Norfolk. And our coordinator's online, Lena, so great to see you. She's working tirelessly and amazingly to make that just an incredible event. And so there you go to cleader.org to learn more about that. And then also invite you to the Sea, Air, and Space. I will be monitoring live in person a panel there on women's leadership in the morning on the 5th, and then in the afternoon as well, doing a DEI workshop with other leaders. So Sea, Air, and Space, that's free for active duty. Just a couple public service announcements. So can we just go on speaker view for a moment? If they can just take off the slideshow for a second. And I'm gonna ask you to pull up your chat and everyone just type in where are you coming from, just to get a sense of, I see there's about 29 people on right now, but sometimes it helps us to sort of see, where we're all, you can either say where you're from. We've got people in San Diego, DC, just to give us a sense of kind of where everybody is. Panama City, excellent. Oh, and Virginia Beach, Maryland, all across time zones. Andy, good to see you in Pensacola and Hawaii. Okay, Danielle, there you are in Hawaii. So great. New York. Okay, fantastic. So we're coming from all over. Zoom, not ideal because we don't get to be in person, but gosh, what a benefit when we can bring people together from all across the country in this case. So thanks everyone for adjusting your time zones on your Friday to make that work. Jessica, great to see you. Just still seeing faces pop up. Okay, next question. Can you just type in what profession you're currently in? And you can, that's open-ended because I invited you to say however you want to identify yourself. One of the great things about Lean On is we connect leaders and professions. So maybe something will catch your eye. Maybe you'll see a name with a billet, or maybe you'll see a name with a job that interests you, that either is current the job that you're in, and you want to find another person who might be like-minded that is in that same line of work. And I'm happy for you to either find each other on chat here or find each other through me. I'm happy to connect people, or find each other through Facebook. So here's a chance for us to kind of look around the room and kind of check out name tags and see what people's current profession is. So I'm coming in from Seattle, Washington, and I am stationed in Bremerton, and I'm the Force Nuclear Propulsion Officer for ComNav Air Forces. So that's what I would write if I were able to multitask and type as I spoke, but you get the voiceover from me. Okay, great. Okay, and then the last question I'll ask is kind of a shift. So if you were transitioning right now to a new job, let's say you were, either transitioning now or tomorrow, or assume your next transition. Okay, so whether that be today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, go ahead and write that in the chat. And maybe to differentiate it, maybe just write the word T or transition ahead of it, so we know that's not your current job. So what would you be transitioning to, or what would you want to transition to? So give us just kind of, dream big. I'm going to write the word. I'm going to type this out because I think my mom taught me writing it down makes it happen. That's the name for a book. So I'm going to write transition author because one day I want to be like John and write a book. So there you go. Let's see. What are some of the things we want to transition to? Whole variety of whether it's just simply retired or volunteering or president of a museum. Love it. Working part-time. Someone's trying to figure it out. Jessica, yep, that's why I'm here. Don't know what I want to transition to. So, wow. And that's all in the chat. If you want to scroll back and kind of throughout this, get a chance to see who you might want to connect with to kind of see where we all are and where we want to go. Oh, Ruben, I would love to own a cafe. Ask me someday to tell you about my cafe. I've kind of got it all imagined. I love owning a cafe. I don't want to actually work there. That's too much work, but just happy to have the space.
You just like to drink coffee.
Oh, there's that. There's that. I mean, it's my culture. I'm in Seattle.
That's right. Good point. Good point.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you everyone for sharing all that. I feel like I've gone over my time, so I'm just gonna introduce our guest speaker. Really, this is about getting behind the bio and not listing all his amazing accomplishments. They've been in a lot of our emails. You saw all the awards he's written. He's also a fellow Nuke. You've heard that. We've had a chance to connect in our careers throughout our careers. And also, he's probably most well known for how he completely revolutionized the entire Navy in getting us to sleep in a circadian rhythm. I think all of us know that and have slept better and have saved many, many, many lives. I can't even imagine how many lives he saved and gotten us the rest we need to prioritize that in our thinking and our watch bills. But that's just one of the many things that Captain Cordle has done for our Navy and for our country. And you read his books, the Deployment Guide for Kids in Military, the Broadside Military Transition Guide, which we've all seen, Going Circadian, on Manning. He's just written a ton and been awarded for his innovative leadership, and also been awarded for his prolific writing in USNI, and how we all are always going to his opinion, because as you caught on early, you saw that he was always writing just to not get fired. So on the edge, just constantly kind of pushing the envelope so we can really think critically. So Captain John Cordle, I couldn't be more grateful to you for taking the lead and really helping all of us today.
Hey, thanks, Emily. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great.
Okay. Yeah, so my wife's probably next door saying, yeah, but you left your socks on the floor in the bedroom. So, which cancels out all that other stuff. Hey, I want to start with something else. Can you all see this book? Can you read the title? Emily, can you read it?
So I see she, and I see half of it says captains, maybe. She Captains.
She Captains.
There it is. Now I see it.
Yeah. So it's a book called She Captains by Joan Druitt. It's a gift that was given to me when, as reactor officer, I sent a van load of female nukes up to the Female Leadership Symposium. And they came back, and it just happened to be, I literally was sitting on the shelf. I was frantically looking for it here. And here's what it says. Thank you for letting us go. This experience has given me hope and renewed my faith in my ability to succeed in the Navy. I cannot thank you enough for letting us take this opportunity. MM2 Silva. And so, their only comment was, where were the men that needed to hear this stuff? So I'll just leave that to you guys to chew on for this next symposium. But talk about closing the circle. I thought that was pretty funny. All right. So speaking of books, you see the cover there of the lieutenant looking in the mirror and seeing himself in civilian clothes. Probably looks like one of those suits I wore at the Naval War College. But the book that he's talking about that came from was a cartoon by Jeff Bacon. He drew for our transition guide, which was kind of the basis for this this discussion today. So I don't know if it's just me, but somehow I'm seeing the slides are blocked out by the group view of everybody. That may be my screen, but that's okay.
No, mine's doing the same thing too. Vic, can you see that happening? For some reason, the slide is blocked out and all we see is the Zoom screen in the middle. There we go. And we'll reshare.
Okay, so the bottom line is I'd like to bear with me for a minute and kind of reset your mind about the term transition, because I was just talking with an 06 yesterday, who has his medical record sitting on his desk, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm about a year out. I got to start thinking about this transition stuff." We initially titled this book "The 24-Month Transition," and then one of my guest sort of proofers, Jared Smith, came back and said, "You got it all wrong." He goes, "Your transition started yesterday," and so because whatever you're doing today is going to count towards. It's going to build on what you need to do to transition. And I threw up some words here: leadership, management, organization, goal setting, public speaking, all those things that you have to do to succeed in the Navy. They're the same stuff you're going to need on the outside. So, but think of it in that mindset that, hey, I'm building skills that I'm going to use for the rest of my life, not just to get through this next event, right? Oral board, everybody's all worried about the job interview. I went through the ruling course with Gene Black, and we had to interview each other. And I failed open. I was so confident, and then I just blew it because I overthought. You've been through oral boards. You sat through TAO boards, reactor officer boards, SWO boards. The difference is, as Mike Turner reminded me, he's our other cohort on this book. It was his PowerPoint mentorship that sort of led to this. You're interviewing them as well. I have like one quick anecdote for each slide. So I sat through an interview for a job where I was clearly I think the most qualified candidate. But as they asked me questions, I just didn't like the tone of the conversation. That made me think, I'm not sure that I want to work here. And so when they called me the next day to offer me the job, I turned it down. We'll talk about how I had that freedom to do that. But at the end of the day, you're interviewing them just as much as they are. The last thing I'll share is, you may not realize it, and most of the folks here are a little, probably closer to my age than the younger folks, but it kind of shocked me when I sat down at one interview and I started to tell my bio, and he goes, John, we already know you. Okay, so we know what you did, we know what you can do. And we know what you would do for our company. We just want to make sure it's a good fit, personally. So you are building your reputation, and it may boil down to an emoji, right? Like the Larry David of or something like, wow, good guy, or great person, or something like that. So build that reputation. Think about that reputation when you're interacting with people, both those that work for you, those that you interface with, and your bosses as well. So bottom line is probably the transition is 100%, and you're probably going to do it more than once. Most Navy folks end up in 2 or 3 jobs after the Navy. So, and then you have to retire at some point. So, okay, next slide. Oh, so one thing I forgot to mention. So it's kind of the point of this whole thing was there's a great scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where the young heroine is in the brig, and the pirate, she's not sure what's going on, and the pirate comes in and reaches through the bars, and his hand turns into a skeleton, and he says, "Well, you may be confused, little missy, but I hope you like those stories because you're in one." And so you're in the transition process whether you like it or not. So the next 3 slides are kind of an odd fit, I think, but I figured I'd talk about 3 health items that will set you up for success in transition: financial, physical, and mental health. So let's talk about financial for a minute. This is kind of a weird graph. I kind of tried to throw down, this is not precise, but it's kind of public record. So how much money do I earn, and how much was I earning across the last 10 years? And it's kind of scary. It really kind of ticked me off to make this slide because I haven't kept near enough of it. But I actually, took a little bit of a pay cut going from active duty to retirement, even though I was getting 75% of my active duty pay, because I lost that nuke bonus. I lost the tax-free stuff, that little orange part. And I got a decent salary, but the salary is kind of, there's not, depending on where you go work, the salary may not be as much as you think it's going to be. Okay. And there may not be a big range of it. But after a while, you start building up bonuses and raises and things like that. It goes pretty quick. Then, and we'll talk about this when I get to the, what finds your why. I decided to come back to government service into the GS world and took a little step back. Okay. But I had the freedom to do that because I had planned, although I'm not a financial advisor. Okay. I'm going to tell you right, if I was, I'd be a bad one. But you need to learn this language, just like you study rules of the road, study, TSP, IRA, all that stuff, cryptocurrency. I don't even know what that is, but, it could make you a millionaire. It could make you broke. Right. And then all the insurance stuff, my mother, my father didn't take out SPP. He passed away at 65. My mother's now 92. And so she still reminds me of, oh, your father didn't take out TS, survivor benefits plan. Okay, but she also paid long-term care, but she's been in long-term care for 4 years, and they've paid out more than she ever paid in. So you got to do that math, right? One of my friends, Lloyd Brown, has a great plan. He just plots his net worth every year, and another skill you learn in the Navy is navigation. And so he just puts a dot on the chart, and he figures out whether it's the right PIM, and then he adjusts course, accordingly. So financial health. If you plan ahead, you have some freedom when you retire. Just talked to a friend who says, I'm going to take 6 months to travel the country in my RV, and I can do that because I have savings, right? So you're making a lot of money, I guess is my point. So save some of it. All right, next. Physical health. This is one where in the military, generally, most folks are fit. However, we really have to think about, what are the components of physical health? I have to mention sleep, right? If you get sleep, you're more healthy, both physically and mentally. Find something that you like to do: walk, run, swim, bike, whatever, something you can do into your 50s and 60s. I'm terrible with the yoga stretching thing, but it really does help. My friend Rob Sweetman is always bugging me that it's one thing to do that stuff, but if you don't let your body recover. And nutrition, my wife hurt her back. We had some home care folks, and the nutritionist came in and looked at our refrigerator and completely revamped our pantry and our refrigerator, and it was really a life-changing experience. And so that's a big part of it. And the last thing is get everything documented. I'm gonna finish up right here. Walking down the pier to the San Jacinto, as I hobbled along because of my bad back, my XO Mark Reed stopped me at the quarterdeck and said, "Go to the doctor and get examined." And I went to physical therapy, got myself back on track. But anything that ends in itis is worth about 10% on your disability card. And I don't even know what half of that stuff is, but if it ends in itis, it's worth 10%. But get a sleep test. So I'm doing an article now with some experts on what's it called, OSA, obstructive sleep apnea. And I did not get tested in the Navy, so it's not in my record. I got tested last month, and I was found that I have both restless leg syndrome and sleep apnea. But the disability, my advisors tell me that it's not going to be counted as disability because I can't prove it's service related. Right. So all that research about sleep and circadian rhythms and stuff and the impact on your life, the VA doesn't care, right? Because I don't have a single documentation in my service record of sleep problems. Okay. So get it documented. Don't be a hero. Next. Mental health. So I've written on this. My friend Ted Pledger just had a great article in Proceedings about how the stress of command almost forced him to shut down while he was in command, and how he got help and came out the other end fine. So mindfulness, meditation, spirituality, sleep, again, right? I have a graph here that's it's very notional, but it's my stressometer. Okay, this is my stress level in command, reactor officer, command again, chief of staff. And then suddenly I retired and became a contractor, and all of a sudden, I'm only doing one thing at a time, and I can do it really well. And I'm like, hey, this is cool. And then my wife kind of kicked my butt to go back to school. So it jumped up a little bit to probably a 4 or a 5. And then I came to a GS, and that kind of backs me up to the mental health getting documented story. So chief of staff for Surflant, and my wife had some health issues, and I was torn between home and work. And a couple times I chose work. And then I found myself conflicted to the point where at one point I found myself as Navy captain, chief of staff, standing in the P-way just crying. And I couldn't go up the stairs, I couldn't go down the stairs, I couldn't get in my car. I just didn't know what to do. So I sought some help with the chaplain, with some friends, but I never got it documented. I never had any documentation or record that I ever had any mental assistance at all. Fast forward 10 years, I'm at Surfland again. I felt like the stress in the fleet was even higher than when I retired. As I tried to make that clear to some folks that didn't seem to understand where I was coming from, because they're in it still, right? Kind of like the ghost story. And through another confluence of events, I found myself back in that same place again. So I go in and told the boss I need 2 weeks off. I can't come back into this environment. It wasn't the people around me, it was me putting uniform back on, taking that stress home. He said, fine, take the time off. I took the time off. I came back, I put in for what's called veterans leave, which is for GS, you have 100 hours that's tied to your, your service. Denied by HR because I didn't have anything documented in my record that I ever had mental health issues while on active duty. So I said, okay, well, I'll just put in for sick leave for those 2 weeks. Denied. Sick leave is only for the hour that you went to the doctor, not for the 2 weeks that you took off to recover your mental health. So I fought that one and got it overturned through command advocacy. But there's a lot of misunderstandings about mental health out there. And so it's no shame in having an issue. Seek help, seek professional help, and don't wait until you're in a crisis, is sort of my point with mental health. You can go talk to a counselor just to talk to a counselor. I saw a great quote today. Somebody said, well, I don't need marriage counseling because my marriage is fine. I bet if you went to a marriage counselor together, you find out that there's room for improvement. So anyway, that's my mental health stressor leader. Okay, next. Okay, last slide already. Second to last. Okay, there is no transition detailer. All right, my sister laughs at me. She's like, somebody's told you what to do for the last 35 years. You had to make a decision. Now it's tough, right? But there's lots of help out there. There's forums like this. There's veterans organizations. On the first slide, I sort of choked when I was looking at the pictures there. Networking. Don't wait until you're at the retirement age until you get a LinkedIn profile or start joining the American Society of Naval Engineers. We're all engineers. I've met some great people through them. MOA, ANZO. I just joined the ANZO, American Naval. I'm going to say it wrong. Officer Service Organization, and the NNOA. So Roy Love and Sinclair Harris beat me up about, if you're going to talk about diversity, then join some diverse groups. So I did. I wish I'd done it years ago. Your significant other. So one more quick story. My wife's from Germany, and I had a job interview in Kiel, Germany, her hometown. That was a lock. It was Raytheon. It was the fleet liaison for the American market. Had a phone interview. I'm all reared up to go. We're packing our bags to fly to Germany. And my lovely wife says, I don't think I'm ready to move back to Germany. I kind of like it in Chesapeake. And I'm like, now you tell me this? And she goes, dude, I've been telling you this for a long time. You just haven't been listening. And so she said, hey, I'm staying in Chesapeake. You can go wherever the heck you want. Just mail the paycheck home and visit me as often as you like. I'm used to being alone, right? In fact, part of that discussion back to the mental health was a comment from her that as I headed into work, it says, I sat in the back seat for 30 years. I ain't doing that anymore, right? So your spouse is part of your detailing. So let's talk about your future boss, right? I'll give you a hint. You know them today, okay? I don't care what age you are, where you are in this group. You know your future boss, and they know you. So that interview might be like mine was, a lunch that at the end of it, they said, you're hired, right? Some of my friends who have transitioned, let's see, I'm joking here on something. Rob Sweetman, sleep scientist. Joe Torian is with Norfolk Southern as a railroad engineer. Robin Russell, one of my friends from California, is a wind energy manager. Lynn Ramus in Norfolk. The list goes on. Okay, there are jobs out there for whatever you want to do. Or become your own boss, like those folks with the Laura Hatcher, photographer. If you look at my LinkedIn picture, if she can make me look good, she can make you look good, right? And these people are passionate about what they do, and they're all happy. So think about that. All right, one more slide. And this is where I think what it all boils down to. And I have to thank my friend John Gaines for this. John was a commanding officer, didn't finish his tour. And his why was, I'm a naval officer. I'm a SWO. I'm a commanding officer. And now I have to find something else. And holy cow, how hard was that journey for him? And but it made me think about what's my why, right? And so this if you read the headlines that are from articles on this page, you kind of figure it out. But the question is really, what are you passionate about? For Artem Sheridan, I think it's AI. I saw Ann Phillips on here, mentoring and climate change. So if you don't know your own why, ask your friends, they know, because that's what you talk about all the time, probably to the point that it annoys the crap out of them. But at the end of the day, that sailor that you see there in the middle of the slide, That was the picture that went with the fatigue is the black lung disease article. And I printed that out and keep it on my desk because I see, when I look in that sailor's eyes, I see desperation, but I also see determination. And that just keeps me going. And that's my why is it's all about the sailors and let's not make them tired. Let's don't continue to be a sleep deprivation chamber. You know, I was on a submarine yesterday and a first class petty officer, I said, hey, what do you think about those circadian watches? And he goes, sir, it's the best thing we ever did. And he had no idea who I was. And so when you think about that, you know, that's my why. And you have one too. So figure out what it is and then start your transition today and then build upon that. And I will tell you that for all the fear and trepidation, and Mike Turner told me this over and over again. He said, John, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Okay. And he was right. And I can't name a single person, friend of mine who has transitioned that didn't land on their feet and is back doing exactly what they want right now. So anyway, that's all I got. I think, I don't know if I'm ahead or behind, but I'm out of slides, so I'll stop talking. Thank you.
You're absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. And those of you who were just riveted and listening all along the way and maybe weren't taking notes, I'll just share with you some of my notes because I just couldn't get enough. It's so great. I love how you said that we're interviewing them, you know, like it's not just a one-way interview. So many of us think of that as like a one-way interview. I love how you said we might boil down to being an emoji. I mean, how often is that the case, right? That you think of how something goes and you're like, thumbs up. Yeah, let's bring them on the team or bring her on the team. Yep. Love that. So just keep it simple, just to know that might be the takeaway from an interview. I love how you said we are in the transition now. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. You know, here I am still active duty, forced nuclear propulsion officer and have no idea what I want to do next. So I'm just doing what I enjoy on my free time or making time for it. So practicing mentorship circles like this. So our transition is now, right? What are we doing right now? Amazed at how vulnerable you were. I hadn't really dug in and I was so busy making sure the slides were ready for you. I didn't really actually dig into them. And I thought, oh my God, he's sharing with us his financial health. Like I don't know that anyone I've ever met besides an active duty service member who we all have our pay charts shared has ever shared with me their finances. So
well, I didn't show you my balances, which I said would be upsetting, but I can say this way. I once owned $1 million condo in Coronado, but I only owned it until it was worth $145,000. Then I sold it. So, you know, that's my track record in finance.
Wait a minute.
D Street and Orange. I drive by it once every time I'm out there just to poke myself in the eye.
Yes, timing matters with real estate. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I loved how you shared your physical health too. I mean, you could just pause and replay if you're recording that story you told about standing in a ladder way and finding yourself in tears because of life. I don't know how many of us that's happened for, and certainly when it happened to me, I thought I was the only one that would happen to, and what I would do about it. In my case, I just went and wrote in my journal. That's kind of where I've always gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, for you to share, just so vulnerable for you to share even your sleep apnea later to say, hey, maybe go get things checked out now. So much for you to dig in there. At this point, what we're going to invite you to do is we're going to put you in breakout rooms and we're going to kind of, I'll just type this in here so you kind of know how these go. But kind of the first thing you're going to want to do is introduce yourself. So if that's simply a repeat of what you've already put on the screen, maybe say where you are, kind of what you do. And maybe if you shared your 2 transitions, like, hey, I'm here right now and I want to be there. That's a good way to introduce yourself as well. And the second thing you'll do is kind of answer this question. And the question we have set up for you is, what is your why? But I'm gonna ask a second question because as we learned from John today, that the whole idea of finding your why is not easy, right? It takes time, right, to find out what your why is. And so maybe the question is also if you know what your why is, how did you find it? How did you find your why? And if you have that, and if you're still looking for it, what are you currently doing to find your why? So we had 2 ideas from our presentation today. One is ask your friends. He said, hey, ask your friends, what are you currently doing? Hey, what do you think? What am I passionate about? What do you think? And sometimes really friends will help us with that to find your why. And I shared my examples I write in my journal, to sort of see like what kind of, I pay attention to what I'm doing. Like after this lean on session is over, I'll write about it and say, did that charge me up? Did that drain me? Is this my why? Do I get something from this? Just to be inquisitive about how I'm spending my time. So invite you to consider those breakout questions, introduce yourself, say, what is your why? And if you don't know it, say what you're currently doing to help you find your why. And if you do know it, go ahead and share how you came about finding it. What is that process that you used? And then when we come back from the breakout rooms, I'd love to have anyone who's willing to share either their own answers to that question or something they learned from somebody else. Captain Cordle, anything else you want to share before we go to our breakout sessions?
No, the only thing that I forgot to mention, mental health and physical health. I am not a big sports guy. I never was. I just broke my finger bowling. So I'll never bowl again. Although I did win the divisional, my office party bowling tournament, but just want to get that in there. But I also broke my finger, and now I probably will never bowl again. But I start every day with I got these stupid walking sticks that I got over in Germany at Target, I think actually, and I go for about 45 minutes down the intercoastal waterway through the woods, and it both keeps my heart pumping and my joints limber. But it clears my mind. And so everybody that I talk to, whenever I talk to, especially active duty folks, the first question I ask them is, how are you sleeping and what are you doing to exercise? And so, that's a piece of it that you can carry over through multiple transitions. And so it's easy to get caught up in what you're doing and let yourself go. I'll save one thought for the end along those lines. But so I forgot to mention that. Thought I'd throw that out there.
Perfect. All right, Vic, you want to take us away to our 10 minutes of breakout rooms, and then we'll come back and share. And please stop the recording, pause it, and then start it again.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I apologize to those of you that I just cut right off in the middle of your finding your whys and you're planning your next life together. I'm sure there's all kind of life plans that I just cut off, so please accept my apologies. Your mom. Just my mom. Well, okay. Well, my mom's used to it. But she still loves me. That's what's so wonderful. And I love her. All right. Thanks, everyone. Does anyone want to share what came from that opportunity to share your why with someone else? Just take yourself off mute and take that brave, bold step and share with us what you learned from the others.
Jessica here, Emily. Jean Marie's not in the house today, so I'll jump in first.
Thank you.
No problem. It was a great group. John was in the group, so we already know his perspective, but it was great to talk with Tammy, who had definitely found her why as far as helping sailors and helping those that are struggling and just need help. And you could just see it oozing from her pores on the screen, which was super inspiring. And then Ruth in our group is an 06, a dual mill couple whose husband has decided to retire, and they as a couple are trying to figure out what that looks like post Navy. So I, having been from a dual mill couple myself, I can see how it's a complete game changer to go from 100% Navy world into a civilian world. So that's where we were. It was a great conversation to get to chat with that group.
Oh, that's so great. Sometimes just hearing other people in their transitions, helps you think about your own, right? And what they're doing and how they're finding it. Love it. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for bringing your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can wave, Hannah.
Hi.
So great. Does anyone else want to share what they, maybe some ways that we're finding our why? What are ways that we're going about doing that?
Hey, it's Frank. One of the things I thought was interesting as we were talking is that a couple of people in the group, we may not exactly know what our whys are, but for all of us, we know what our whys are not, right? So whatever it was an experience that we had or something that we saw or something that we went through something clicked, and it was like, you know what? I really don't want to do this anymore. I can't work for these people, or I can't make this commute, or I can't deal with this stress. Whatever it is, there was a decision to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I need to look someplace else.
Wow.
And sometimes that's, if I could bring the navigation stuff, it's kind of like a celestial fix, right? You have to know where you're not in order to find out where you are, right? So that's
good.
That was a good takeaway there.
Wow. So great.
No, that's great.
It's like sometimes are you running towards something, or are you running away from something? Either way you're running, either way you're moving, right?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I mean, when Mark, you came in, and when John, you were talking, and I mentioned to folks in our group that I really don't know my personal why or my professional why. I know my personal why, but your last comments there, I find myself I don't want to define myself as a mentor as my career, but I just talked to an 06 Wednesday and an 05 Thursday going, I don't have any skills. I don't know what I can do. Guys, I'm going to tell you everything you got, and you don't even think that you have them. We've got to think outside the fit rep if you're transitioning, and start looking at PDs. And you find your why. Look at some ideas of what kind of jobs would you like that would excite you. Look at those requirements, and I will guarantee you have skills that are in there, and you don't even know that you have them. And the mentorship will help them get there.
Right. Can you mind if I build on that a little bit? The thing I've discovered as a business owner is there's a basic value proposition that I offer every one of my customers and that every one of my employees offers me. And it goes something like this. The employee can solve all my problems better, faster, and cheaper than anybody else that I'm looking at. And so almost anyone who's serving the military is really, really good at solving problems. The question is, what type of problems turn you on? Is it financial analysis? Is it human resources? Is it requirements analysis? What is the problem that you want to solve that gets you up in the morning wanting to go to work and solve that problem? But all of us, I don't care how long you're in the Navy, if you're 05, 06, senior chief petty officer, first class petty officer, doesn't matter. Somewhere along the line, you got turned on by solving problems, and you're good at it. And what you got to do is figure out what type of problems you want to solve for business, what type of businesses have those problems, and then go out and find your gig. And that's the type of thing where a guy like me or Dave Snell, any one of us, can help somebody. Thanks.
Awesome.
I offer folks anytime, if you want, if someone you need help, like Mark, someone to look at a resume, I'm open 24/7 to look at resumes. I actually am a sadist when it comes to resumes. I enjoy resume writing and helping folks with them.
Awesome.
I want to offer one thing about, finding, what kind of problems turn you on. It's, for a while there, I was like, well, nothing. I don't get excited about anything. But then, like, when you're riding in the car, I like to listen to podcasts in the car, right? And if I'm listening to a podcast in the car and I find myself sitting in traffic by myself, raising my voice and lecturing an audience full of people about the topic that they're discussing. Am I the only person that's ever done this? Anyway, but like when you find yourself talking out loud alone about an issue, it's probably an issue that turns you on.
That's good.
And I will attest that I have been at the breakfast table with Frank when we were sharing our problems and how we solve them. And I love the way you solve problems. I mean, he gets the team involved, he gets ideas, and he comes down. I can imagine like whiteboards, people who work for you, Frank, have loved solving problems with you.
I've killed so many pads of Post-it notes. It's crazy.
Post-it notes and whiteboards and just different ways of thinking and applying them to new problems. I love it. Admiral Phillips, do you want to share at all how you found your why? I know you're deep in some really awesome transition world from when I last spoke to you, and how, climate change and not weather, but rising sea levels. Right. How did you find that, ma'am?
Well, thanks, Emily. And I enjoyed our group's discussion. Some passionate people looking at new things, which is fun. When I left the Navy, I didn't know what I want to do. I had kind of 4 tracks. One was go back and work in industry, go to school, look at nonprofits. And then I think the other was board service. And I happened to go to I was at a transition course. And I will say this, sometimes people you don't know, we've talked about how people you do know have an idea of things that you're passionate about that you may not consider. Sometimes people you don't know can ask you a question that helps you find a way. And in this case, someone asked me, I said I was interested in the nonprofit world. And they said, oh, what are you passionate about? Women, the elderly, children? And I thought, no, and no. All those things are very important, but they aren't things that I felt that I was personally passionate enough about that I wanted to work in that field. And so as it turned out, I decided I would go back to school on the GI Bill. And as that was unfolding, I got a call from a retired flag officer, Dave Archesell in Hampton Roads, who asked me to be a part of a pilot project on how sea level rise impacted Hampton Roads. I knew nothing about it, except that I knew what happened on the bases when it flooded. And I was eventually asked to lead something there, to take a committee and run it. I picked infrastructure. Infrastructure turned out to be the heart of the matter. And 2 years later, I had found my passion really, which is, coastal adaptation and coastal resilience, which led to sometime later, the last 3 years of my life working in Virginia, developing the first coastal master plan for the Commonwealth. So now I'm transitioning to something else, which will take a big piece of that resilience work and then tie in some of my Navy work as well. And I'm still waiting to be confirmed for that position. But if I had not done the resilience work, I would not be qualified for the thing I hope to step into now. And should I have the honor to be confirmed. So sometimes your passion finds you. If you just let yourself take a path and let doors open for you as the opportunity presents itself. And I say that, I will add one more caveat. We all have obligations and requirements and family requirements and other things in our lives. And so all of this takes place in the context of things that you've heard others discuss today. What do you need to do? And then what do you want to do within the context of what you need to do? So I've been fortunate to be able to step through some doors and find a whole different path, but all of which, your life, back to the point of you're always looking at your transition. My Navy life led me to be interested in the things that I was interested in that happened to guide me in the path of coastal resilience. And believe me, if you want to get into resilience, it's a whole new world. So there's plenty of opportunity. Yeah. Thank you, John. Yeah, thank you, Emily. Again.
That's great.
Fascinating. I had no idea that that's how it came to you. I just assumed you'd always known that was your passion because you're so, I align your name with all things sea level rising and how you're getting after that. And I just,
it all came down to that coastal resilience project that ODU did, and Dave Archesell calling me and saying, will you please run a committee? We can't get anybody to run anything. And, I was off to the races. I didn't even know it, but I was off to the races. So.
I love that. And then just for a takeaway, before I turn this over back to John for kind of closing us out for the hour, what I'm hearing you say is you just kept showing up. And you just said yes when someone asked you to be on a committee, and that's how you kind of wide open to what you needed to do. And then your why was waiting for you. It wasn't like you knew it. You had to go, but you were willing to do some work to go be on the committee and to learn.
And it all gets back to, some of the things other speakers have said already today. You also have to know what you don't want to do and have the courage to say, thanks for asking. I'm sure that's great, but that's not for me.
That's great. Not elderly, I love it. You just knew that wasn't your calling. And so you knew to steer clear of that. Fantastic. So much meat here. So much greatness. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Captain Cordle, if you would like to close out the hour and then invite people to log off or stick around for the after party.
Okay, great. Hey, just two thoughts. One, Jeff Bacon just sent me a note and said, don't we have a call today? So he must have got his time zones mixed up. But I'll tell him to join us next time. I must have, I should have reminded him. But hey, just one thing real quick, the book, right? So I forgot to mention this. This is not it may be my retirement income stream, but for now, every sale of this book yields $3 profit. And then Jeff Bacon donates his to the Wyakin Foundation, which is an outdoor veterans transition that he runs, a great group. Mike Turner donates to the Anchor Scholarship, and I donate to Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. So when we sell a book, it's a $3 donation to sailors. So look at that. For those of you with kids, Emily mentioned this, the Oscar P. dog. In one of my many attempts to get fired, I took a dog for an entire deployment on Oscar Austin and then wrote a book about it. And it's for kids. So if you have, I saw a couple of kids running around in the background today. If you send me a PM, I'll send you a free copy. And then Going Circadian is my life story of my why that I've sold like 12 copies of so far. But send me a note and I'll mail you one. I just pulled it all together so that no one would be able to ignore it, you know. Last comment, when I almost transitioned twice in command of San Jacinto because I hit the bottom with my TAC-TAC total array sonar one time. And I also had an in-serve where the fleet commander said the next knucklehead that fails in-serve is out of a job. And so I bought 2 tickets to Las Vegas for Friday after in-serve for my wife and me. And I told the crew, I tacked them up outside the wardroom and I said, I'm going to Vegas on Friday. If we pass, I'm coming back. If we don't, you know, there'll be another captain here on Monday. So I'll just stay in Vegas. We did pass. And Admiral DC Curtis called me while I was at the Bellagio gambling to congratulate me because nobody thought I was going to pass. But I bought a T-shirt out there, and the T-shirt said, "Your life is the sum of the choices you make." And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I didn't get it from some philosophy book. I got it from a T-shirt shop in Vegas. But I think that really sums up this whole conversation. So thanks to everyone for listening in. I'm honored to have had the chance to talk to you today. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I've met so many great people through that thing. And just shoot me a note and send me your address and I'll send you a copy. Okay? They're on Amazon if you want to buy one. But if you took the time to sign up today, you've earned one for just your suffering. So thank you.
Wow, so much. I love seeing all the reactions of everyone so engaged and learning and so many awesome takeaways. Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone taking an hour of their time today to be part of this. And you're welcome to log off, or if you have a question that you want to continue the conversation, then go ahead and take yourself off mute and continue the conversation.
Okay.